Once upon a time, there was a boy named Soon. Soon didn't have much. He did, however, have hope. He was homeless. He was homeless and hungry. It was winter when he had an idea. There wasn't much left alive, but he knew the pine trees still persisted. He gathered a bunch of pine cones and put them in a bag that he had made out of a piece of cloth in the street. With his frozen fingers clutching the bag, he walked across all of town. Soon looked for colors. He looked for liquids that weren't frozen by the cold already. He wanted to make the pine cones colorful. All the cabins in town were dull brown, so Soon thought that if he gave the pine cones color, people would want them. Soon looked everywhere, but there was nothing colorful. The snow was white, the sky was gray, the people all wore black, and the dirt roads were a muddy brown. Everything else was frozen. Feeling like he had no choice, Soon went to the edge of town. This is where civilization stopped and a dangerous forest began. Many townsfolk died from wolves, bears, and even monsters that came from these woods. Soon walked into the woods, not giving any second thoughts. It wasn't long until Soon saw something colorful in the snow. It was a vibrant red. Soon got closer and discovered a white fox with its guts missing. Almost immediately, Soon started rubbing the pine cones on the inside of the fox. He needed to hurry. Soon managed to color most of the pine cones, but the fox was running out of blood. All of its blood was spilling into the snow, becoming unusable by Soon. Soon needed as many pine cones colored as possible. He found a rock and, with gritted teeth, cut his arm open. He colored the rest of the pine cones with his own blood as it gushed from his thin, frail arm. With the bag full of red pine cones, he walked back to town. Soon took his bag of pine cones all around town, trying to sell them. Many turned him away, but every now and then there were some who took interest in the splash of color. One by one, each pine cone was replaced by a small coin. Sunset came, and he had one left. Soon knew the shop was going to close soon, so he took the last pine cone, all the money he made, and his makeshift bag, and headed to the shop. When he got to the shop, Soon asked for as much bread as his money would buy. The shopkeeper handed Soon a piece of bread that fit in the palm of his weak child hand. Soon put the bread in his bag and ran off. He ran between two buildings where his mother sat on the ground with her back lumped against the wall. He took out the piece of bread and fed it all to her. Weakly, she ate it all. When it was gone, Soon's mother fell back asleep, too sick and weak to do anything else. Soon walked to the dirt street and sat beside it. His stomach growled fiercely. He would have eaten the dead fox, but raw meat was how he accidentally made his mother sick. Instead, Soon pulled out the last pine cone. Slowly, he ate it bite by bite. Fox blood was the best flavor to ever hit his tongue. Soon had overstuffed himself by eating the small pine cone. He laid down beside the road and fell asleep. Less than an hour later, his heart stopped beating. It didn't take long for him to die. When the townsfolk found Soon, they picked him up and brought him to the pasture pit, where the cows stayed. They tossed his lifeless body in. Almost immediately, the cows started tearing his body apart with their sharp teeth and blade-like hooves. His body was gone in a matter of seconds, with the only evidence he was ever there being shredded cloth and a partially digested pine cone. It didn't take very long until the blood on the pine cones turned from a bright red to a dull brown. The townsfolk were angry. They found Soon's mother and pelted her with the pine cones, some of which were covered in the blood of her own son. When they ran out of pine cones, they threw rocks. It continued until the blacksmith, the strongest man in the town, threw an anvil at her. The anvil splattered her blood all over the wall she used to be slumped on. The townsfolk all left, leaving nothing but pine cones, rocks, an anvil, and a splash of color on the wall. The end.